Burger King Bond with extra cheese and ham.
Oh, no.
Cruise blunders his way through a ridiculous adventure at every turn, looking more bewildered in a plot with more improbable twists than a curly whirly.
Okay, so you know what? They had me until whatever a curly whirly is.
Is that where you put your head in the toilet?
That's a swirly. He runs, rolls, and leaps past an equally wooden cast of ham and beefcake with a few Botox babes thrown in. Utter twaddle.
That's some serious alliteration.
That was a 1-star review from IMDb.
Got nothing.
Hello and welcome to Spoilers Intended, a podcast about series and films. I'm Ryan, joined as always by Andrew.
Hello.
And Steven.
Andrew's over here like, I'm all warmed up. I got nothing.
And this is part 6 and the finale of our Mission Rewatchable series, in which we're talking about Mission Impossible
Don't do it. Don't you do it.
I wouldn't go into I can now if you want me to. Yeah, we're talking about Mission Impossible Fallout. Mission Impossible Fallout.
It's been out so long. 2018.
2018.
I was like 2018, yeah. That's 5 years ago. That was a long time ago now at this point.
It really does feel like a long time ago.
It's crazy because like sometimes I think about it, I'm like, oh, it was like 2 or 3 years ago. And then other times I'm like, that was like a decade ago.
That was forever ago, yeah.
Like time is a flat circle.
Time is an illusion.
Time is a flat circle.
That's from True Detective, Matthew McConaughey. Time is a flat circle. And if you haven't watched season 1 of True Detective, check it out. It's very good.
I actually really do want to watch True Detective because
this is not a True Detective podcast.
Listen, let this man have his True Detective discussion.
Because the new season has Jodie Foster as the main character, and I like Jodie Foster.
So the best part about True Detective is you don't have to watch every season because they're like an anthology. Each season is like an isolated.
So maybe I'll just watch the new one.
Yeah, the first season's really good. I couldn't get through season 2. I heard decent stuff about season 3, but like the first season with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey is great.
Yeah, I can see that being great.
Yeah, it's really
Anyways, back to the plot.
We get back on road here. All right, here is a plot summary.
Well, hold on now. We got to tell people what is the Mission Rewatchable series all about? How is this going to be different?
Well, we're rewatching the Mission Impossible movies.
Nailed it. In the run-up to
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
.exe.
.exe.
Yep.
Yeah.
/geocities. .blogspot. No.
.angelfire.
Yeah, which comes out very soon. Hopefully you've been along with us in this journey, rewatching all the Mission Impossibles, listening to these episodes.
It's been pretty
actually has
ride,
been quite a lot of fun.
I've had a lot of fun. I love these movies.
I do too, and I think most people like them progressively as you get closer to more modern ones.
What's funny is these are not movies that I think of like, oh yeah, it's just a random Friday night. Let's toss on like MI3. Like that never occurs to me.
Yeah.
And watch these, I'm like, yeah, these are great.
Yeah, these could be those movies.
Yeah. Particularly Ghost Protocol and honestly Fallout.
Yeah,
like they're two phenomenal.
They're
films.
very good. Yeah.
Fallout was quite good here.
Yes.
I know. At the end of this episode, we'll do a little quick recap.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you a plot summary for Mission Impossible Fallout.
For anyone who isn't familiar with how this format works,
here we go.
There is no spoiler.
It's the 6th episode. They've probably heard that.
The spoiler wall is now. We have to get that out there. He's going to give a plot summary.
That is true.
Very true.
The spoiler wall is now. So if you have not seen Fallout since 2018 and you don't want to be spoiled,
go watch it.
This is your chance to go watch. It's a good film, so it's totally worth watching.
Yeah.
All right, plot summary, please.
Now
you can go. Yes, third time's the charm.
Because this plot summary spoils everything. All right, 2 years after Ethan Hunt had successfully captured Solomon Lane, the remnants of the syndicate have reformed into another organization called the Apostles.
Such a silly name.
Under the leader, it's again probably from the actual show.
Probably.
Under the leadership of a mysterious fundamentalist known only as John Lark, the organization is planning on acquiring 3 plutonium cores. Ethan and his team are sent to Berlin to intercept them, but the mission fails when Ethan saves Luther and the Apostles escape with the plutonium. With CIA agent August Walker joining the team, Ethan and his allies must now find the plutonium cores before it's too late.
Yep.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Like the film.
Yeah. This movie was released July 27th, 2018, which we just discussed feels like
a while ago.
Or
not too long ago.
Yeah.
Depends on how you look at it.
Close for a real long time. Yeah.
Directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who did Rogue Nation and is doing Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
So
that's encouraging.
Yeah, Christopher McQuarrie's here. Written by Bruce Geller and Christopher McQuarrie. Lauren Balfe did the music, who he did recently. We were reviewed it. Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
Honor Among Thieves.
Okay, yeah.
And he did Ghost in the Shell, the Scarlett Johansson live action movie. He did Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
No reaction from
We're
Steven.
not going to talk about
Pause for Steven's reaction. None given. Moving past.
Seething anger.
Yeah, starring a lot of people in this one. You got Tom Cruise, Henry. Is it Cavill?
Cavill.
Cavill.
Okay. Henry Cavill, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Alec Baldwin, Angela Bassett, Sean Harris, Vanessa Kirby. A lot of folks.
I remember whenever I rewatched this for the podcast, I was like, oh, Angela Bassett's in this.
Oh yeah, I had forgotten, not that she was in it, but like her character entirely.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, and it all came like flashing back.
She's not in it a lot, but she's
Yeah,
She's still a presence.
she's definitely a presence. Budget $178 million. Box office domestically was $220 million. Internationally, it was 571 with a worldwide total of $791 million.
pretty successful.
Made his money back, yeah.
It did good. All right, what are your overall thoughts on Mission Impossible Fallout, guys?
I think this movie is probably the best one out of the whole franchise so far.
Okay.
And I used to really sit on Ghost Protocol being the pinnacle.
Right. Yeah.
And after watching this one, I think this has all of the ingredients needed to make the best Mission Impossible film so far.
I think I mostly concur with you on that. I
I
think
feel like.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Steve.
just leap in here. I feel like this one is maybe a little, just a smidge too light on the humor.
Okay.
It needs maybe
Yeah.
a little more of that kind of situational, like Benji and Ethan Hunt lock eyes kind of moments in
Yeah.
it.
I mean, you do get that whenever
Yeah.
he is chasing
You do with
August?
running through the
what's his
Walker?
name? Walker.
Yeah,
Walker. When he's chasing Walker,
like the rooftops.
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah. That's a
So
pretty great.
That's
sequence.
the most you really get.
It is.
But I do feel like other films have done it a little better, and it feels like a core ingredient.
Yeah. Well, particularly Ghost Protocol had the humor.
Well, but not even
Yeah.
like that. Like even going all the way back, just to like MI3, right, where he gets the mission call, and the next scene is him just throwing ice out the door, and he's like, "Honey, we're out of ice." Like you don't get those kinds of moments either, really. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, because I think that I think one of the reasons why is because this film's story is really just all doom and gloom from the get-go.
It's quite intense
and
the whole
they
way
don't
through.
allow you any kind of respite from that.
Well, because I feel like to me, I think I agree with you, Andrew. That I think this is my favorite of the Mission Impossible movies, but Ghost Protocol is like a close second.
Yeah.
It's really just what mood am I in?
Yeah.
honestly.
Is Ghost Protocol the one where they blow up the Kremlin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Rogue Nation is the one that has the other one that has Solomon Lane on it.
Correct.
Yes. So that's what I was going to say. Is I think the reason this one might be a little more serious is because it's trying to basically build off the framework laid out in
Rogue Nation.
and kind of do
it
it
also
better.
connects
because-
to MI3. Like it goes
Right.
all the way back.
Yes.
which
Also,
I thought was
don't know if
pretty
you
cool.
caught it, but Vanessa Kirby, her character,
She's in
she's-
Dead Reckoning.
her mom is what's her name from Mission Impossible 1, the British lady that helped Ethan.
Job.
No, not he's Job. She's
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I had her name in my head. I just lost it because I was like Vanessa Kirby, the White Widow. Her mom is
Hold on. I got you.
I can't think. It's like
my
one
gosh,
word.
yeah.
So she says it at the front of that scene where she makes the appearance. She's like, "In honor of my mom, whatever, I've gathered you all here to start this thing." And it's like when she says,
I never caught that.
I go, "Oh, that's the lady from the first Mission Impossible movie." And I was like, "Ooh!" I had never caught it before until
Yeah.
this rewatch.
Oh, I like that.
Max.
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vanessa Redgrave.
Yeah. So she's Max's daughter.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so
that
that's
went
the
right by
connection.
me.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job then in this film of connecting it throughout the franchise.
Well,
Yeah.
where's our MI2 reference? Like, come on, guys. Ah, man.
Just doves everywhere.
The helicopter goes by pigeons. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually that's a good tie-in that I didn't even think of. But it does make sense though because this one obviously ties directly to Rogue Nation.
Yeah.
And then the new one has her in it and also
Kittredge.
yeah, and
that his
the
name?
original
Kittredge,
guy
yeah, from one.
the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah.
So like clearly McQuarrie is really trying to pull back and connect a lot of this stuff instead of being anthological films.
Yeah, he's trying to
Yeah.
stitch it together a little
Which
bit.
I really appreciate. I like it lets them build in higher emotional stakes.
It does.
Like when it's like, hey, it's an aid camp and there's a nuke in it that's going to go off. It's like, okay, that's a problem, and I'm concerned. And then
his wife is
also
there.
his
Or ex-wife.
ex-wife, who he still cares for, is here, and like she's gonna have a couple touching lines of this. It's like, okay, we like ramped the stakes way up.
Yeah,
on
they
this
really
one.
did. Well, because I love that the whole time whenever they're like, why would they want an aid camp there? Because like clearly this was like their thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then once you
Solomon's
start to
got
see
the
the
plan.
shapes of like they were the ones that
like funded their thing,
did the
poisoned
thing
the water,
that got the people there, and then it's
pretty. Yeah, it's good.
Well, also, it feels like an overarching global conspiracy, right? We had a smallpox outbreak, which then caused the camp to be there, and then like I caused, know, the funding to be there enough that she and her husband could be there, so then I could put the bomb there. Like it actually feels like the whole pull the strings play.
Yeah, it does.
yeah. Well, we have returning characters from Rogue Nation, so you got Ilsa Faust is back.
Yeah, and I like her character a lot more in this one than I did in Rogue Nation.
I like her
Really?
character just in general.
Yeah,
Oh,
I like her character too.
See, I know what I was going to bring up too. One of the other humor things we have, like in Rogue Nation, right? When he comes out of the water tank and then she, scarpers off, and he's like tries to do the car slide, just kind of blump because he's been dead.
Yeah.
Like we didn't get one of those either. Kind
That
of
is
kind
true,
of
yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one ingredient. And it's not like
could have done more
It's
of.
not like a critical piece, but it's that little extra spice at the end, little seasoning.
Yeah.
that you need just to make it go, oh yeah. You know? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, what did y'all think about Henry Cavill as August Walker?
I think it's very sad that he is already dead.
I thought he was a great villain.
I think he's
He's a great villain.
Yeah, a fantastic turn as well.
Yeah, and like
Well, and they it seemed to me watching the film, because I actually am not positive that I saw this when it came out. This may actually have been my first watching.
really,
Because there are some moments in this film where I was like, boy, I don't remember this.
really,
I feel that because like we knew each other back then, into 2018. I don't think you saw this.
I don't think
if
I saw
I
it
remember
with you.
correctly.
Yeah, I don't think
you
I
definitely
did.
didn't see it with us.
So I felt like it was really telegraphed that he was going to be the bad guy. They kind of leaned towards, well, maybe it's the CIA lady.
Yeah.
Angela Bassett's character, and then he's just doing he's just the henchman, right? Not the main linchpin part of this. But like to me it felt pretty telegraphed.
I mean, well, it's not that you as a viewer didn't see it coming, but the turn is still really good.
It is,
because
yes.
you're waiting. If you see it, you're waiting for him
For when it really
when it
gets
actually
declared.
happens.
yeah. I mean, to me, it's his demeanor. Like he seems like an imposing figure
Yeah,
in the
he
room.
is.
He is for sure, and I think Henry was a good cast for that because like
100%.
I mean, I love obviously one of my favorite scenes is the arm reloading scene in the bathroom fight. Like that whole fight scene's great, but the way it breaks and the way things go down and like the way that he's like just eyeballing that guy in the mirror before it kicks off and the messy cleanup, and then they've got him in there trying to scan his face, and the foreign dudes are like they think it's a bunch of guys making out in there or whatever, and they're trying to like get in there.
So that was a little bit of humor, but it was a little too dated. Even for being 2018, it like felt kind of dated.
It did, and it wasn't like
was like,
played
what?
for laughs. Like it was more to ratchet up tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These people are trying to like see what's going on in the stall, and yeah.
And I thought Vanessa Kirby did really good as the White Widow. I thought her character
and I know that she is definitely in the next one.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
So we're getting very interconnected now, which is nice.
When you see her kind of taking on the role that Max left of like she's kind of working with the CIA on stuff, but she's still brokering all these deals so that she can stay
She's got
like
some shady size, yeah. So I got to say, for this one, so Rogue Nation, I was not a huge fan of Solomon Lang like as a villain.
Oh, he was so good in this one.
I
He's
didn't
fantastic
feel
in this
exactly.
one, yeah.
I didn't feel like he was like really intimidating or scary in that film. In this one, they ramp him way up, and it's way better. Especially the bits like when he's being transferred, he's like bound up, and he's just kind of looking around and watching.
Oh, yeah.
Like it felt like Philip Seymour Hoffman in the helicopter flying away, just staring at Ethan Hunt. Right? It felt like that kind of intensity at play.
it's that level of like
I'm confident. Like I may not get out today, but I'm confident that my day will come.
I'm getting out.
Yeah,
like
I will be free of this, and I
that
will achieve what I want.
scary attitude of like no matter what you do, I'm going.
is on my side.
So,
Yes, it is.
from my understanding, the bathroom fight scene that was only scheduled to take or for them to shoot for like 2 weeks but I think it took him like 4 months.
Holy cow.
No, yeah. It's so the trivia I've got here says it was meant to be shot in 4 days.
Yeah.
Wow,
but due
okay.
to the complexity of the fight, it ended up being shot over several weeks. So
Yeah, or maybe it was like 4 weeks to like 4 days or something like
Yeah,
that.
what-
And they had to just keep coming back to it because it was just a very complex
Well,
fight.
I do remember seeing in a couple interviews with like Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill where they're talking about like the actual fight in the bath stall, like the punches, and like how you can't really choreograph that because of the space you're in, and how you get a camera in there. So we're really just kind of punching each other in there.
yeah.
Well, and like basically at the end of every day of filming for that scene, like, the first couple of days are like, yeah, everyone's, really, really jazzed about it. And, they have a lot of energy. And like towards the end, they're just like, man, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
Like,
So this is the film, right, where Henry Cavill had the mustache and the beard that they had to edit out of
Superman.
Man of Steel?
No,
it was Justice League.
Justice League. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did remember that bit when we first saw him on screen.
Just means that he was getting paid more for Fallout than he was.
Right. Well,
Which is crazy to me. Like, you're not making more bank as Superman? Like, Warner Brothers can't come off that cash? Like,
Warner Brothers is managing money left and right. They're like, hey, can you do this for like a couple bucks in a sub?
No kidding.
Yeah, because like, I mean, clearly he was like, I can't get rid of the mustache, guys. We're not going to we're not going to fake it in Mission Impossible. You guys are just going to have to remove it.
Can you imagine?
Justice
What
League?
if it just takes?
You know what the thought process was there, right? Henry Cavill was like, guys, I'm not going back to Tom Cruise and be like, hey, can we CGI a mustache on me? He's not going to work, all right?
He's short, but I'm scared of him.
Yeah,
What if it takes Henry Cavill like 4 months to grow a mustache or something? What if it's like his facial hair just grows real slow? He's like, guys, you don't understand. I can't. They're like, you'll grow back over the weekend. No, you don't understand, guys.
You say 3 days stubble. I call it 3 months stubble.
It's all these supplements I'm taking. I don't know what's happening. So to me, like, I think one of the reasons I like this movie so much, I like the plot. I like the story of what happens, but it's a lot of the action scenes and a lot of the stunts are just really well done.
Really
and
well
a lot
done.
of the, like, it's like the same spirit of the action that's in like Fallout.
Yeah.
Right? Or in, Ghost Protocol.
Ghost Protocol.
But like sharpened up a little bit with like, Christopher McQuarrie is directing it and slightly more modern cameras. And like, you don't really have a scene that's as bad as like the Kremlin blowing up,
Yeah, bad CGI.
Well,
Compared to, like-
you have, obviously a couple years worth of CGI and technology and everything that does get in between there.
And I think when you compare it directly to Rogue Nation before it, you can see the benefit of them kind of having the script figured out before they started shooting versus,
Definitely.
like we talked about in Rogue Nation with like all the,
Kind of throwing it together as they went.
like the reshoots and like the figuring it out. And like when you look at that movie specifically with its action scenes, some of them are really good, a lot of the driving scenes, but then like you compare it to this and this just feels like a notch better on every level than Rogue Nation to me.
The chase through Paris after they basically like he knocks Solomon Lane's van off of the thing and then they're being chased and then he's then on the motorcycle going through, like, that is a fantastic sequence.
We were making fun of that just because they hit like the Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, John Wick could fight in here for an hour and the cops would show up. Cops are already here for this one.
They're
Like,
here, yeah.
But
They had
it
the
did
day
feel-
off on John Wick 4.
It did very much feel like they did the same thing that they did like in MI2 where they're like, all right, we're in Paris. How do we establish Americans to know we're in Paris? Okay, Eiffel Tower, Arc de Triomphe, mission accomplished. Like, it's just boom, boom, done.
So what he does with the car at one point where he basically like does a J turn over some stairs and then goes like
spin out,
sideways
turn it the
down
other way.
and then,
Okay, so I have some trivia on that. That's one of my favorite moves in the whole thing. So Tom Cruise showed some impressive stunt driving skills during filming. The crew filmed 4 takes of Cruise making the 180-degree turn while driving the BMW M5 down a half dozen steps on the streets of Paris. 3 of the takes were perfect. In the last 10 degrees of the turn, he had to turn the steering wheel, step on the clutch, and put the car into first gear while it was still in air.
Yeah.
Stunt drivers train their entire lives to do something like that. Mm-hmm. And Cruise did it in like, it's like 100 days.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
Well,
On the motorcycle thing, though, so the Paris chase scene involves stuntmen in 70 cars driving to avoid Cruise, who was riding his motorcycle against traffic without a helmet at extremely high speeds.
Yeah.
So they're just like,
I wonder how
I don't want to be the guy that hits Tom Cruise.
I wonder how much money they had to pay France and specifically Paris to be able to do that for the Arc de Triomphe.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Like, just imagine that because like that is one of the busiest intersections.
Right.
Like,
to shut that down for who knows how long.
Even just a day.
Can you imagine how mad Parisians would be?
They were so mad.
They're so like, this American Tom Cruise.
That didn't sound French at all. American Tom Cruise. Is he Libyan?
The problem is, there's nothing in there where it can be like, baguette, I can't get into the French
Oh, the Tom Cruise, you're on a motorcycle.
Oh, this is Tom Cruise, American.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have like 4 French listeners. They're like, ah.
So this is just a random, just a block of stats right here. So the film had 3,000 setups, 13 helicopters, 6 pregnancies, all different women. So like, not one woman had multiple pregnancies during filming. I guess is why they clarified that.
Like a rabbit.
Just 5 hiatuses, 4 weeks of aerial photography, 3 continents, 2 winters, and 1 broken ankle.
Wow.
And that's
Who
Tom
broke
Cruise
the ankle?
on the jump.
Tom Cruise broke the ankle.
Yep.
So
On the Halo jump?
no, the jumping from one building to another when he's going across.
Yeah.
So that take where he goes from one to the next and he gets up and he kind of limps, he broke his ankle.
broke his ankle.
When he hit the side of the building, he knew, I broke the ankle.
Finish the take.
He finished the take.
Modern day Jackie Chan.
Push
baby.
himself up
Yeah.
and go. So speaking to his chops as just a stunt performer, right? So we were watching the film, and during the helicopter chase at the end, right, we were like, so you think Tom Cruise is piloting this helicopter? And like my wife's just like, he probably is. Let's see. And she pulled it up, and she's like, yep, he's had his helicopter license for like decades at this point. He's known for it. I was like, yeah, he's just, he's always in there, man.
I do love that bit of comedy though. Whenever he gets in the helicopter, he's like, "You know how to fly a helicopter?" And then he's like,
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Well, then he's like, okay, altimeter. He's just like
Power,
looking at,
more power.
He's like turning. Okay, more power. And also, so it says he trained for an entire year to perform the Halo stunt.
Yes.
To jump out of the plane.
Yeah. So, well, man, and that take where like he's psyching himself up and then he's running and then he jumps off with the camera. Oh, it's so good.
I know.
Well, so I've seen interviews on that where they're talking about you can only do this take so many times just because you have to get up there to do
It is so
this jump.
expensive.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so he has to, when he goes out the back of that, he has to nail like a 2-foot window to be in focus for the camera.
Yeah.
So like he's going out the back of the plane and nailing that. And Henry Cavill apparently was really adamant. He really wanted to do this with Cruise. And Cruise is like, we don't have enough time to train you on how to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's not
Which is
happen.
so sad because like I know that Cavill's like a really like genuine guy when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, like it's a lot of training and a lot of safety things and everything like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to that.
A lot of layers in there. Yeah.
It's not just let me jump out of the plane.
Well, Tom's doing it. Why can't I? You know,
I guess I'll go paint my Warhammer.
the plane, like that's what you don't see out of frame in the back of the plane. He's just sitting there with his leg crossed, looking mad, painting a little.
All his paints are just rattling.
I mean, to be fair, Tom Cruise has been in the industry for a very long time. Henry is still pretty, I'll say new.
Relatively
relatively new.
To this type of stuff. Like, I think, I'm going to name drop, one of my favorite movies to name drop on the cast.
Here it goes.
Stardust.
There it is, everybody.
I think that's probably the earliest I remember him being in a film. Because he plays kind of the other suitor.
Yeah.
And that's 2000.
He was in 300. That's the first time I think I saw him.
He was in 300? Oh, wow.
He was in 300.
What a throwback. Wow.
I think that's the first time I saw him.
He's 40 years old.
Hey,
what have you done with your life?
Seriously,
not as much as it.
You know what? I also paint minis.
You know what's
and
crazy?
That's about all I have in common with
I'm
him.
also in the exact same shape as Henry Cavill, which is pretty cool.
So you're 6'1", Ryan? Is that what you're telling me?
Easily. Yeah. Probably is he 6'1"? I'm probably 6'2".
6'1".
I haven't checked recently. Probably grew a little more. Alec Baldwin, I like him in this again.
I really
hate that he dies.
I like his character. I hate that he goes out.
So his fight with Henry Cavill, he said it was particularly difficult because
he's fighting Henry Cavill? And he's Alec Baldwin? Old Alec Baldwin?
Have we neglected to look at me lately and then him? Right?
What am I doing? He's got the Alec Baldwin voice.
And I'm going to punch him?
Who am I fighting? I thought you did really good though, because I like that you get to see Hunley like really get into like now I enjoy this.
The team where like they do the double cross with another double cross on the mask, and then the reveal.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I can see where y'all really get into this. When in prior movies, he's been like, what was it, like Mission the Impossible Force is Halloween. You're just running around wearing masks or whatever.
So it was fun to see that. I liked Simon Pegg, like Benji. I liked his character in this.
That core team
is great.
It's great.
And now that they have Ilsa on the team,
right.
Like I think that's going to be a really good dynamic for going into Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, and I think too, like we've said in the other ones, like it's frustrating when they have a good team and then they have a totally different team.
And then
the next
two people are missing from the next movie, and you're like, come on. Well, also you get a bit of a carryover of kind of the love interest here.
Yes,
with Julia.
Not Julia. With Ilsa.
Oh, with Ilsa. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Because we've moved past Julia at this point.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that was a fantastic way to close out his I'm not gonna say reliance, but his dedication to her.
Yeah.
And he can now move on to Ilsa or whatever.
Or wherever.
But having her, because like Julia reappearing as kind of another level of threat, right? Where that Solomon can use to threaten Ethan with is cool and good. But she is, while she is capable, we do see her do stuff here. We're like, she's just like, well, what can I do? I can help. What, cut the red wire? Okay, cool. I can help with this.
I love that she got
really
involved
like that
with
she got to be part of that.
I'm glad that she wasn't just there at the camp as another threat.
It gets us away from kind of a little cringy, like White Knight kind of thing. Because there's a little bit of that where she's like, well, I sleep better knowing that, you're out there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would also sleep better knowing that Ethan Hunt's running around shutting terrorists down. So I can't blame her for
Tom
it.
Cruise is just hanging out in the shadows.
He's just there, right? I sleep better knowing Tom Cruise is just right around the corner.
Yeah. I also love that, like, so Luther.
I would not sleep better knowing Tom Cruise is around the corner.
Save me with the witchcraft, Tom Cruise.
Save me, Tom Cruise. Luther in this movie, Ving Rhames, his character and the arc that he has of like he saves him at the front, and you're really getting into that like he chose him over
the mission,
losing the plutonium, and he gets emotional later when he's talking to Ilsa about like the fact that like what happened with Ethan and his wife, and then at the end when he's helping her defuse the bomb, and it's like going back and forth, and I think I like that they used Luther as that character because he's the only other character that's been in every movie.
Yeah.
Right. It's him and Tom Cruise, the only two that have been in every single, Mission Impossible movie. So like, I'm glad they didn't make that a new character or someone else. They really because was it 3 where they barely had Luther in it?
Or was there for like
3? 3 wasn't.
No, it was 3. It was 3. Yeah.
Is it 3?
Yeah.
And then 4
for like 20 seconds.
4, he was only in it at the end.
At the end,
yes,
right?
Yeah, he's like, oh, you should have called me.
Yeah, no. 3. He's in there at the start of the rescue.
Yes.
Yeah, he got the track balls.
Yeah.
Track balls.
He's got the track balls.
He does have the track balls.
God.
Hey, look, man, I love a trackball mouse.
Golly, I don't know what's wrong with you.
This explains so much.
It really does.
So what are some of your favorite scenes? Mine, I got to lead off with, is the extraction of Lane. Like the way they set up
That's
that
a cool
scene,
sequence.
And then like the way that he's going to do something.
Flip of what happens.
Yeah, and you just don't know why. And then the music during that scene is awesome. And then like when they knock the truck carrying him off in the water, and that one shot where like the water's coming, and he's like,
oh yeah,
and holds the breath.
It's sideways,
and it's like sideways, tilting there.
What a great shot.
So, and then after that's when the chase kicks off and like the motorcycles and like that whole section right there is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie.
So for all my objection here about, I feel like it could have a little more humor.
Yeah.
The bit where Ethan and Walker are in the cab and Walker realizes, so we're about to extract a guy, right? Yeah. And he's seen you, and he knows that you're Ethan, right? Yeah. So how are we gonna cross that? I'm figuring it out. That one was also good.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get this guy out where he just never gets to see me?
Right.
I don't know. The problem here is I think there are some really good scenes.
Yeah.
So towards the end, the fight in the cabin where Benji is basically being hung, and like Ilsa's like
it's
going
really
toe-to-toe
well choreographed
and like sliding the box to him so he can stand up, like all of that.
Yeah.
That is really cool choreography, really cool like balance of stakes and like trying to manage, because like by all rights, Solomon Lang's been wearing a straitjacket for like 2 years. Ilsa should just destroy him and move on with her life because she is just
Yeah, well, she's a trained agent that has been active the whole time.
The peak of her training, yes. Yeah. And having Benji there as kind of the millstone around her neck to make it an even fight works really well. Both for the story and also for the tension.
But even then, when Benji helps and it moves the box further away, so it's like the give and take, the back and forth. Yeah.
Well, and the only reason why he has an edge on her is because he just gets the drop on her.
Gets the drop on her.
Yeah, not because she is physically incapable of fighting him.
But that's the start. It's just the continuation of that fight once she's free, where by all rights, again, she should just destroy him. But we have the other obstacles there, and we play with that. I think that scene's just really well done all around.
And I really think, specifically about that scene, whenever he kicks Solomon Lane to help her, and then it basically effectively kills him.
It starts him strangling again,
which is such a great
great choice for him.
Great choice for just the way the scene plays out, because now it is you are set on a timer of I have to choke him out and make him pass out before Benji dies.
Goes out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's the race of who's going to pass out first.
Yeah, it's great use of just cinematography and stuff, I think.
Yeah. That whole sequence for me was top notch. I had another one in there that I was going to bring up. Oh, the bit where they open the garage door, they're putting Solomon in the Beamer.
Oh yeah.
And the cop's there. And he's just walk away.
I feel so bad for her. I'm assuming that she lives.
Presumably,
because she calls for backup.
I mean, he gets her putting pressure. He guns all the other dudes, because it's that bit where it's she gets gunned down by the other guys, and then he just puts them down, and it's okay, put your hand here, it's going to be okay.
Yeah,
puts the mic up to her so she can call for backup or whatever.
Yeah,
but that whole sequence I thought was also really good.
Yeah. So mine is after Walker, obviously has revealed himself, and he's walking to the extraction point, and Tom Cruise is going on the ultimate Tom Cruise run through London.
Of course.
A lot of running, yeah.
I love the two bits in this is I love him walking, going into the church.
The funeral.
The funeral. There we go. Yeah. Going into the funeral, just standing there, he's like, "I'm so sorry." He just runs, and then everyone chases after him.
Yeah,
and then
they're like, "Who is it? CIA?" Unclear. It doesn't matter. A little bit of both.
But then, whenever he's in the office building, and Benji's like, well, he's just going that way. He's like, I'm in a building.
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to jump out of a window.
And he just turns the map.
All the office workers are staring at him. There's one lady out there kind of nodding him on.
Oh, yeah. That one lady, I was going to shout her out. She goes, yes, you got it. And I was like, that's my lady right there.
But I love that bit, and the music that goes with it is just absolutely phenomenal.
Oh yeah, Andrew's got to reference this. Make Ryan work.
Well, so Lauren Balfe did such a good job with this soundtrack. The
score is good on this,
and I think this was one of those where I remember watching this film and then thinking back on the other Mission Impossible films, and I'm like, oh, all the music is like this, and this was really the one that they really started hounding down onto adding in the main theme into a lot of it, and the percussion for this, the stairs and rooftops, which is just great. And this is a really long track because it's a pretty long chase scene.
Yeah,
but you have just such a good little driving force for a lot of the kind of tension.
Yeah.
And
let's maybe skip ahead a little bit.
Yeah, so skip towards the end where it has the really big horns.
Well, that when the piano comes in, that's the part I always remember. And then the
Let's see, you get
towards the end. It starts to ratchet up right there. Yeah, and honestly, the Mission Impossible, the song basically Fallout. That it's their version of the MI theme is really good in this too.
Yeah, they do just such a. I mean, he did such a good job at really pulling in a lot of the motifs for the franchise, and then putting it into the music and changing it in ways to actually make it interesting for a lot of it. Because I recognize pretty much all the tracks on this, and I've only seen the movie once.
Yeah,
but I've listened to the soundtrack quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, and they do a good job of all of the action tracks have the same kind of energy with that percussion that's always happening, and then that almost becomes a through line as well as the theme, the notes, the stuff they're bringing in, because you'll be in the middle of a song and then all of a sudden it kicks in, and you're like, oh, there it is, like, and then it starts to ramp up or whatever. So I think for me, the music does a really good job of just like
it sells
matching the
tension.
action, and the tension. Like there's several tracks where, like when I listen to them, I can see the scene again in my head because I can see like things are plateauing and then it's ramping up. And,
Yeah. So I have a question. What do you guys think about the final, I guess, showdown in the helicopters with Walker and Hunt?
So I like the in helicopter bits better than the on ground bits.
I think that final confrontation on ground is actually maybe the weakest part of the entire film.
Yeah, I can agree there.
I wouldn't go, weakest part of the film.
Of the film. Like
in comparison,
It's not like
it's terrible.
It's just suddenly the Marx Brothers, but I think that bit for what it could be is a step down from where we could.
Because I love the bits of Walker using the light machine gun to like shoot, and the perspective shots of that are phenomenal.
So apparently, and I saw this as an interview when they were shooting those scenes with the Henry and the chopper, right? It was incredibly cold, but they had to have the doors open because they're doing this. Yeah. And they did multiple takes, and he was like, "Yeah, I was freezing."
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
The cool thing too, I watched this on the 4K Blu-ray, and it's got the
I watched the 4K
Blu-ray. It cuts to the full frame when it goes to the IMAX shots, and it comes back down.
Oh,
and
interesting.
When it hits the helicopter scene, it's IMAX for like the next 20 minutes, baby.
Yeah.
But when it does, it's like whoa, and you can see like the ice on the mountains and like that scene when they're like flying around.
Well, they're like just barely clearing ridge lines and stuff, and it's like whoa, that is.
And the Dolby Atmos soundtrack on this movie is out of control. It's like a show.
Do we want to talk about your home theater a little more?
I'm just saying, if I was going to bring somebody over to show them, like, check out my home theater system, I would show them Blade Runner 2049 and that helicopter action scene at the end, because the sound is just insane when it's whipping around and stuff. Yeah. But I like the choreography of that scene too, where he figures out the helicopter. Okay, I got this. And he gets above him.
Bomb them.
And he tries to bomb them. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, and they're just, hanging out. Like,
not a clue in the world.
No clue. Yeah. And then he misses, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, just the back and forth that happens and then the nosedive they do. That whole part of it I love. And then when they get out of the chopper, it feels a
little anticlimactic.
A little bit, because it's like, it feels like in terms of the script, it has to happen. There has to be some kind of a showdown.
Well, and it feels honestly a lot like Mission Impossible 2 at the end whenever they get on the beach.
Yeah.
Like, so that you have this massive, like, really in-depth chase with the motorcycles from 2, and then you have this one with the helicopters. They just ramp it up, and then at some point you're going to have a fist fight.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like you have to have that showdown.
Mm-hmm.
But the other other part of the story that's running concurrent with this, right, where it's just the team is like, we cut this wire at 2. What do you mean 2? We cut this at 1. And it's like, well, how do we know? Like, you just gotta have faith.
Yeah.
And then, like, we don't, as a viewer, we don't even get to see him put a hand on the receiver,
which is such a great choice.
Right. Yeah. That's such a good choice in storyboarding.
And you have the false ending with the the
bright light.
Yeah, the bright light.
But then it comes back to him, and he's still hanging from the rope, and he's got the piece in his mouth. Like, he literally just like ripped it out. Like, how quickly can I get through this part?
Yeah, which I thought I really liked quite a bit, just because it was, and at the end they ask him, it's like, how close were we? He's like, the usual.
And they're all like, woof, they realize how bad it was.
Yeah, because that is, I did like that they had essentially like no communications with him. They just have to go on faith that he's going to get the job done. Right. And from a story perspective, I think that's honestly pretty great, because like they just have to assume that he is going to do his job the best way he can. Right.
Yeah. Also, I love like the double twist that happens, when they basically figure out that Walker is John Lark.
John Lark.
I always want to say Lane, and it's not. It's Lark. Lark. And then, Angela Bassett's like, nobody messes with me. Like, take him in, and then she gets off the phone, and then Walker's like, now, or whatever. And then half of the CIA guys are on his. It's like, oh man, double cross, triple cross,
quadruple cross, so many crosses. So honestly, like, they flashed like, John Lark's name up, and I don't know if I just didn't read it right or what. I thought it was Locke, and then for like half the film they're like Lark. I was like, man, is my hearing going? Like, am I struggling out here? It's like, no, it's Lark. Okay, all right, cool.
The thing too, like, to me, like at the end of it, even after the final fight with Walker isn't amazing, it's still fine. I'm just always so bummed that his character dies.
I know.
Yeah.
I want him to like be another bad guy.
He's not one of those. It's kind of again going back to MI3, right? They don't leave you any question of he might have survived that.
Right?
Fall.
Yeah.
No, they like
100%
straight up on
dead.
screen. They're like he's dead.
Because him coming back with like the burn up face would have been like. Maybe they were like, that's a little too Bond. Like,
Yeah,
we don't want to like lean into to that.
Well, also at that point in 2018, if you're planning, we're going to release this film hopefully in the next 3 years, right? Like, how expensive is Henry Cavill's contract?
Because at this point, like he was Superman.
Yeah, like
and I know that
he's
they
on
had
course to blow up. Here.
Yeah, like they had a lot of plans for him in The Witcher and that kind of stuff. So there definitely was a lot of contracts, probably questions in there of like, can we get him for the price that we need him at later at a later film,
or even just the availability, right? Maybe he's on board, like, hey, I like the pay, I like the work, but like, hey, I got like the TV show, a DC movie, all this other, and for all we know, there is another set of shots out there where it's not as clear cut that he's dead.
Yeah,
because that's one of those plays you could easily make. I'm going all the way back to like Empire, right, where they put Han Solo on ice, where it's like, we don't know if he'll come back.
Yeah.
Well, you could have played that same game here if, well, hey, we don't know what the contract is. But then maybe at that point they're just like, nah, go with the let's kill him, move forward to the next. Like IMF just keeps finding new problems, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious that do we want to postulate on Dead Reckoning since it's going to be coming out pretty much the week after?
Let's recap the series first, and then we'll go into
future. Let's go into the past first.
The first Mission Impossible movie. What did you guys? What's your big takeaway after watching it this time?
Classic yet controversial spy film. Not a lot of action.
Not a lot of action.
At least on Tom Cruise's part.
Not really one of my faverites from the franchise.
It's a totally acceptable.
I have a lot of nostalgia and appreciation for it from watching it back in the day. I like Max. I like John Voight's character.
You get Luther in here. I think there's a lot of good things in that film.
I think my biggest issue is the ending action sequence in the tunnel.
It's just kind of
it's just too ridiculous.
Much. Yeah. Okay, Mission Impossible 2.
Doves. Budget doves.
Budget doves. Just sheer insanity.
Just give us all the pigeons.
I had a lot of fun watching MI2, though.
I actually liked it way better this time.
It's bonkers.
Well, you go into it with low expectations and you're entertained. I got to say, I think of all the films, we really can tell how low this is or how unimportant this is to the franchise, right? Because Dead Reckoning, we've already had revealed like Kittredge come back from the first.
Yeah.
We've had the Max connection in Fallout. Like they're connecting other strings all the way back to the first one. They ain't connected anything to number 2 yet.
No,
if Dead Reckoning does, that's gonna be buck wild.
I don't know how they're gonna do it.
The dogs are just gonna burst out. John Woo's gonna walk through. I don't know.
But Thandie Newton comes in on a wheelie on a motorcycle
with Uzis akimbo.
She's back.
but I definitely think that it was better than a lot of people would give it credit for.
Yes, I think it's more entertaining.
It's ridiculous.
It's more entertaining. I don't know if it's a better film. It's more entertaining.
I think it's one of those movies that like came out, everybody was like, "Whoa," and then it like soured, and then now it's back in vogue a little bit. Like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. It's just wild. It's just different. All right, Mission Impossible 3.
Best villain.
This is.
I mean, I think Philip Seymour Hoffman. is the best part of that movie.
The second version of Solomon Lane from Fallout does give him a little bit of run for his money.
A little bit. It's not the same level, though.
Still not Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I think if you're going to have this type of film, one of the most important pieces to nail is the villain.
Yes.
The antagonist has got to be strong. Otherwise, like, what's Ethan Hunt's purpose, right? Like, what is he actually accomplishing? And I think this is probably the best example of, wow, what a villain!
Yeah, and this, this was the proto version of everything that came after it.
And this is laid the like this is where we get Julia.
Yes,
right? This is where we get all these pieces are placed, and I think that interplay too throughout is really good as well.
Yeah, I think for me the surprising thing for me was how dated it was. Like we talk about the first one's very mid '90s lighting with the backlighting. The second one's very early aughts, with the CG and the special effects and the slow-mo.
This one's green.
This one's a lot of green, and then like
it's got that Matrix tint to it.
It's got that vibe to it. Okay, what about Ghost Protocol?
Fantastic.
Good film.
Still one of the best just movie stunts of all time, I think.
Oh yeah.
Just absolutely
also,
bonkers.
Going all the way back to the Kremlin, right? Like we have some really good gadget use on that.
Oh yeah.
Well, we have great chemistry from our whole crew. Yeah. We have Jeremy Renner in there, which was a great addition, which is unfortunate he's not really in them anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought it was great. Like just one of the best films.
Yeah, I mean, really for me, the only problem with Ghost Protocol is the villain is just kind of there.
Yeah, he kind of exists. Yeah, he's probably the weakest villain
Like he even in Rogue Nation, like Solomon Lane.
No, he's still good.
He's good.
Yeah, the Ghost Protocol one is just kind of he's there.
He's just there. Like they don't give him enough to do. I don't guess for you to really fully appreciate how evil he is.
You have that final confrontation in the parking elevator,
which is a very cool,
which is a
set
very
piece.
brutal, and also when he just goes off to try to deny the briefcase, right? There you kind of get the full commitment, but he didn't ever have a chance to really get in there and monologue or be intimidating on screen.
Yeah.
So it just falls a little flat.
It does. But everything else I love in Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
And then here we are with Fallout. We just discussed it.
Well, Rogue Nation.
Sorry, I always forget about Rogue Nation. Literally, when we were doing this rewatch, Fallout. I was like, wait, there's a Rogue Nation.
Yeah.
Which is telling. Holy cow.
Well, and it had a lot of production problems.
Mm-hmm. It did.
Yeah, because they were kind of making it as they went along.
And there's definitely some of the action scenes in Rogue Nation are good, especially the fight after he's been resuscitated.
Oh, it's
that's and then the chase scene and with Jeremy Renner, but the actual underwater part where he's swapping the cards is not that good.
They didn't even know what he was supposed to be doing in that scene. What are you stealing? We don't know yet. We haven't written that.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue though is the big stunt of the film happens too early with no fanfare, and it doesn't feel as dangerous as the Burj Khalifa, even though it absolutely is.
It absolutely probably is way more
dangerous. Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem too. Is we don't have any. By the time the Burj Khalifa stunt happens, we're fully on board, fully invested.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's the cold open. Mm-hmm. It's just there's no stakes have been established yet for us to attach to or to be already on the edge of our seat for this. Yeah. Which is the movie opens wow, Tom Cruise is holding on to that plane. Okay.
Yeah, and it feels just a little bit too early to have a stunt like that.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't feel as big.
Well, I don't think
one from Ghost Protocol.
It's so much the problem of the stunt being early. I think it's that they don't have anything else that happens later that supersedes it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can have an early stunt like that. But you better have something big at the finale.
I was going to say, if you come out of the gate with that I think I remember the first time I saw it in the theater being like, oh man,
where are we going?
This is how they're starting.
Where are we going?
Yeah, because in the trailer you see that scene, and I thought that was going to be the big finale or something. So for them to do that at the front and then never have anything else that quite matches
that point.
I think is an issue.
Because Fallout, you have two of them. You got the Halo jump, and then you have the helicopter stuff where he's hanging on the side and everything like that.
And the Halo jump doesn't, while it is very dangerous, it doesn't feel
dangerous
as dangerous as the helicopter. The helicopter chase feels way more.
Because he's exposed and it's not a controlled environment. Quotation marks.
Right. Well, we've also at that point reached all the tension has come to a point, right? Mm-hmm. So that works. Whereas again, Rogue Nation, we have a really big stunt to start, and then it's a car motorcycle chase. Okay, cool. Yeah, we've seen this. Yeah. What are we gonna do next, guy? We got a ramp in here. What's up?
Well, I think even in Fallout, you have the extraction of Lane and the motorcycle chase and the car scene in the middle. So it's you have the Halo jump, that in the middle, and then the helicopter.
Then the final really big pieces throughout. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and the chase in this one in the middle, I think, is better than the one in Rogue Nation.
It is.
So
for sure.
That's the other thing with Rogue Nation is that when they do that, it's if that would have been a better chase, maybe
it was enough. Yeah, if there's a little more going on in that chase. Yeah.
All right, so that sets us up for Dead Reckoning Part 1. Mm-hmm. So what do we think is going to happen in Dead Reckoning Part 1? And also, why is it a Part 1?
Because reasons. I don't know.
So obviously, we've lost Alec Baldwin's character. Mm-hmm. So we're going to kick this sucker off with the IMF as being folded into the CIA. That's where Kittredge comes back in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. I'm again wild speculation.
Yeah, we're just
So we're right back to Hunt's going to go from having a boss who backed him to the hilt to now we have, it's Halloween all over again kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I don't
Is Kittredge going to be I never left? Is he going to?
He got a promote. He got a transfer or promotion.
I want, or is he secretly the bad guy? Maybe
he's pulling the syndicate strings from.
Is Angela Bassett going to be back?
I hope so. I want to see that character fleshed out more of a hard. You know what?
Well, because she always has a presence on stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Or screen, whatever.
Yeah, probably both.
Yeah, probably both.
Yeah. So is she going to be the antagonist to Kittredge? Are they going to be working together?
Yeah.
Is Kittredge in her in league together and she's trying to shut it down? I don't know.
Yeah, but I will say I hope that's not the case because if there is one plot line I'm getting real tired of, We've only had so many movies.
Them being
Can we
disavowed.
Stop trying to disavow or shut down the IMF. Like, how many times do we have to save the world before you're like, hey, maybe we give them the benefit of the doubt and don't shut them down now?
Like, what they should do is they should be like, you're disavowed, and everyone should just not react at all. Like, Ethan, everybody just goes, uh-huh.
So
that's just our natural resting state. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
well, so the other thing, too, is clearly, like, this is, like, just from what I've gathered from the trailer, it does feel like it's like an AI-style kind of threat where it's like, oh, we can stop crime forever, kind of like Minority Report level of like kind of thing with like this big eyeball looking graphic or whatever.
Yeah.
And clearly we have the arms dealer from Fallout who's Max's
she's
daughter.
Back.
Yeah, so she's definitely in it. We have the team, like I'll say the core team now where we have Ilsa, Benji, and Luther in there. So that's exciting.
I know like there's at least one bit in the clip where like Luther's saying like, listen, man, like our lives are not as important as this. And Ethan's like, I'm not losing anybody.
I refuse to accept that.
So obviously we're going to have some kind of intense, maybe in that moment, one of the team is captured or, I don't know. Yeah. That's a very classic MI thing.
And then we have the big stunt, which is what they've touted for quite a while, where they did the first day of shooting because they wanted to make sure that they had a film for the rest of it to be shot.
Yeah.
Because if Tom Cruise dies, well, you don't have a movie.
And that's, if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's like Christopher McQuarrie is like watching the screen and Tom Cruise is jumping off this cliff on a motorcycle, and like the whole time Christopher McQuarrie is going, okay, all right.
I'm about to kill Tom Cruise.
Oh God, all right, hold on. He's going, we're rolling? Okay.
Because he like goes off the motorcycle like into a base jump, and it's like, like if you snag anything here, you're just dead.
Well, when apparently they did that a few times.
They did like 7 times, I think. Yeah. Which I find funny too, because like in my mind, again, the Burj Khalifa feels so much more dangerous and big than this is, but I know that this is so much more dangerous.
Well, and I think that's a good point to make though, is that perception versus reality is real with these movies sometimes where like
sometimes you could pull off like a quote unquote lesser stunt, and just given the circumstance, it could feel way scarier than
or it could actually be more dangerous.
Hopefully they don't put the motorcycle jump right at the start of the film.
Yeah, I hope that's later on.
That's a later, like a car chase type thing that they build up to.
Well, so one of the things, and this is kind of bringing you back to Jackie Chan, I mentioned him earlier, is the fact that one of the stunts that almost actually killed him was one of his like most banal stunts of basically jumping from a tree to a roof.
Yeah,
and like he just fell on his neck and he almost
fell wrong.
Yeah, right, and like he cracked his skull. Skull
was like open. Yeah, and that's where I think that's what I mean, like with the perception versus reality of like. Sometimes you see a stunt, and you're like, yeah, it looks kind of dangerous, but in like the reality of it, like the plane one from Rogue Nation is probably way more dangerous than the Burj Khalifa.
Strike and just, Tom Cruise is dead.
KO'd,
cut in half by a freaking seagull,
or a pigeon.
Or a
group of pigeons.
A bunch of doves return.
Yeah.
John Woo's revenge.
Make fun of us, will you? Yeah. All right, well, I'm excited to go see it.
I am too.
After going through this whole rewatch, which I hope everyone listening has been, if you haven't rewatched all of them at this point, you've been inspired to get in there and watch them.
Yeah.
Because I gotta say, like Fast X, I don't think I could recommend running through all those films before this.
I can definitely recommend.
I feel like I can recommend every single one of these in the run up to Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
That is totally worth it. It's gonna be fun. Even like what you're going into, pop some popcorn, kick back, relax, and just let it roll over you, right?
Yeah. And it will. So real quick, why do we think there's a part 1 and a part 2 on the Dead Reckoning thing?
I think that's
because cliffhangers are so.
I mean, do you think it's going to be a complete cliffhanger, or do you think it's going to be like
maybe that'll be the final? The stunt will be the final one where he jumps off, and we don't even know if he lives.
We don't even know if he.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, because like Hollywood goes through these phases, right? Where we had, like Hunger Games Part 1, Part 2, and we had that with Deathly Hallows.
Yeah.
And then we also had stuff like, Ants and A Bug's Life both came out at the same time.
Yeah.
Armageddon and Deep Impact came out at the same time. So
Volcano and
Dante's Peak.
Yes, came out at the same time. So they go through these phases, and right now we just kind of got hit with Fast X with the cliffhanger, Across Spider-Verse with the cliffhanger. So like right now Hollywood's like cliffhangers are hot.
I mean, I like cliffhangers, so let's go.
I don't hate it, but also I would like a complete movie to like going in knowing that it's part 1 makes me feel less bad about it. But I would also like to see complete arcs in films.
Yeah.
And not like, hey,
Right.
cliffhanger, this film may be done in 3 years.
The biggest thing to me is like when they do the part 1, part 2 thing is like I want it to be a justified reason of why this
split
is
it
a part.
apart,
Because
yeah.
if it does tell a full story, cool. Then why this has just been part 7, Dead Reckoning, and then the next one called something else. Like Lane
yeah.
carried over from Rogue Nation to this one. So like this could have been Rogue Nation Part 2, technically, you know, in some ways.
But see, Rogue Nation, the writing was so shoddy, they weren't sure where they were going to go.
Oh, that's 100% what happened.
Commit to it. So maybe the real thing that makes you feel assured is that they felt like they had enough story that they could tag this to the part 1 because they've got enough for a part 2.
Right.
Maybe the planning is good enough now.
I mean, I think especially with Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie, I think once they teamed up, even on Rogue Nation, which is the first time,
ironed out.
they were like, okay, I feel like with Fallout, they hit their stride of like, we know how we work together. So I'm hoping that, part 1 and part 2
I'm
is
really
like,
excited for the new one.
Yeah,
I'm pumped about it.
I prior to doing this series, I was kind of like, yeah, it's another Mission Impossible. Now I'm like, yeah, like let's do this. I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
So, your mission, should you choose to accept it, you can support the show right now for the low price of just $1.
$1.
That's right. Spoilers intended.
Podcast.
Oh, wait, hold on. I messed it up.
Patreon.com/spoilers
intended podcast is where you can go.
You have great bonus content.
Yes.
We have episodes, commentaries, Patreon picks polls where you get to choose what we review.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can influence the future of this cast as we have or force us to watch something that maybe we don't want to watch.
Maybe. Or maybe something we just want to watch and we just want to make you vote for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's more of you help us pick something we do want to review. You're not holding us down in a chair and being like, I gave you $1, watch the movie.
Really what happens is we get 4 choices and we're like, all these are good choices, but we couldn't decide. And then the patrons pick.
Well, let's pass the buck on to someone else.
We don't want to make a choice.
You can also support the show by tossing us reviews, sharing us with your friends, rate us on Spotify, iTunes,
If you see our posts out on social, leave a comment, leave a like.
Yeah, we have
Share
2
it.
social media accounts, Facebook and Instagram. Check us out on one of them.
And thanks for supporting
I hope
the show.
everyone's had a lot of fun with the Mission Rewatchable series.
Yeah. I have. It's been great.
Until next time,
Yep.
I'm Ryan,
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Steven.
and every spoiler was intended.